If I asked you to name one Indian startup that completely changed the way people buy spectacles, LensKart would probably be at the top of the list. It made eyewear affordable. It brought eye tests to people's homes. It transformed spectacles from a medical necessity into a fashion statement. And in just over a decade, it built one of India's largest consumer brands. Today, LensKart operates thousands of stores, serves millions of customers, and has become one of India's most valuable startups. But here's the interesting part. LensKart didn't invent spectacles. It didn't invent contact lenses. It didn't invent eye testing. So how did a startup enter one of the oldest industries in the world and become its biggest disruptor? The answer isn't just about glasses. It's about understanding customers better than anyone else. This is the story of how LensKart built one of India's biggest business empires, and the business lessons every entrepreneur and investor can learn from its journey. Before we dive into the story, welcome to Rich Root, the channel where we break down the world's biggest companies, investment strategies, money psychology, wealth-building habits, and the financial lessons hidden behind today's most successful businesses. Every week, we bring you deep dive documentaries on business empires, stock market investing, personal finance, company analysis, wealth psychology, money mistakes to avoid, financial freedom strategies. Because understanding money isn't about getting rich overnight. It's about understanding how wealth is actually built. So if you're serious about improving your financial future, subscribe to Rich Root, and let's begin. To understand LensKart's success, we first need to understand the problem it was trying to solve. 15 years ago, buying spectacles in India wasn't nearly as convenient as it is today. If you wanted premium eyewear, you usually had to visit expensive optical chains. If you wanted something affordable, you often had to compromise on quality, design, or after-sales service. Most neighborhood optical stores had limited collections. Eye testing wasn't always easily available, and millions of Indians didn't even realize they had vision problems until they became severe. Industry studies estimated that a large percentage of people who needed vision correction weren't wearing spectacles at all. Some couldn't afford them, some didn't have easy access to eye care.
And many simply postponed buying glasses because the entire process felt inconvenient. For most people, this looked like a healthcare problem. For an entrepreneur, it looked like a billion-dollar business opportunity. That entrepreneur was Peyush Bansal. After studying engineering and working at Microsoft in the United States, he returned to India with a dream of building a technology company. Like many successful founders, his journey wasn't an overnight success. His early ventures struggled. Some failed completely. But every failure taught him something valuable. The biggest businesses aren't built by chasing trends. They're built by solving real problems.
In 2010, Peyush launched LensKart. Initially, the company focused on selling contact lenses online. Soon, it expanded into spectacles and sunglasses. The mission was simple: offer more choice, better prices, and a buying experience that felt effortless. But there was one challenge. Buying spectacles isn't like buying clothes or shoes. Customers need eye tests. They need the correct prescription. They need properly fitted frames. And they need confidence that the product will actually suit them. Most people believed this experience could never become digital. LensKart believed the opposite. Instead of asking customers to adapt to technology, it used technology to adapt to customers. People could browse hundreds of designs online, try frames virtually, book appointments, visit stores, or even request an eye test at home. LensKart didn't just build an online store, it built an ecosystem. But the real genius of LensKart wasn't its website, it was its business model. Traditional optical retailers depend on multiple suppliers. Frames come from one company, lenses from another. Manufacturing somewhere else, distribution through several middlemen. Every layer increases the final price.
LensKart wanted to remove those inefficiencies. The company invested in designing many of its own frames, manufacturing lenses, building modern production facilities, and controlling a significant portion of its supply chain. This strategy is called vertical integration. Instead of depending on dozens of businesses, LensKart controlled much of the value chain itself. That helped improve quality, reduce costs, speed up deliveries, and maintain consistency across thousands of orders.
Some of the world's most successful companies have followed a similar strategy. Apple, Tesla, Zara. LensKart adapted the same philosophy for the Indian eyewear industry. Then came another innovation that changed the game: home eye testing. Instead of asking customers to travel across the city, LensKart sent trained optometrists directly to their homes. The experience felt simple, convenient, and modern. For many customers, this removed the biggest barrier to buying spectacles. But LensKart wasn't only changing how people bought eyewear. It was changing how people thought about it. For decades, glasses were seen as something people wore only because they had weak eyesight. LensKart repositioned them as fashion accessories. Different styles, different colors, designer collections, celebrity campaigns. Suddenly, owning multiple pairs of spectacles became normal. One for work, one for traveling, one for parties, one for everyday use. That single shift increased customer spending without forcing the company to find entirely new customers. It was a brilliant business decision. As customer demand grew, so did investor confidence. Global investment firms backed the company. New funding rounds pushed valuations higher. Stores expanded rapidly across India. Technology improved. Marketing became stronger. Within a few years, LensKart had transformed from a small online startup into one of Asia's largest organized eyewear retailers. It had solved a genuine problem, created an outstanding customer experience, built a trusted brand, and developed a business model that many startups wanted to copy. For millions of Indians, LensKart wasn't just another company. It became proof that an Indian startup could completely transform an industry. On the surface, everything looked perfect. But if there's one thing we've learned from studying great businesses, it's this: success often hides the challenges that are quietly building beneath it. As LensKart grew bigger, its decisions became more complex. Its responsibilities became greater. And every move it made was watched by customers, investors, employees, franchise partners, and regulators. Some people continued to see LensKart as one of India's greatest startup success stories. Others began asking difficult questions. Questions about its valuation, its profitability, its franchise model, and some of the decisions the company made during its rapid expansion. Did LensKart simply become a victim of its own success? Or were there warning signs that many investors completely missed? That's exactly what we'll uncover in our next documentary. We'll break down how LensKart's franchise model helped it expand across India, why its IPO valuation became one of the biggest talking points in the startup ecosystem, the challenges the company faced as it scaled, and the most important investing lessons every entrepreneur and shareholder should learn from its journey. Because we'll uncover what happened after the success and the lessons every investor should know. Make sure you subscribe to Rich Route so you don't miss it.